So I am Sarah Stelzner, and February's INDY warrior. And I guess I'll share my story. Is that okay? Yeah. So it was May of 2018, so just last year, hitting like close to my 40th birthday. And I wasn't feeling real good going into that, and I was kind of trying to hold off for that big, you know, you're turning 40 doctor appointment, save a little bit, go in. But I went in a couple times to like urgent care and they're telling me that I had like acid reflux, and they said, oh, you have a bladder infection, just all these minor things. And I just knew that that probably wasn't what we were dealing with. But I, did the rounds of antibiotics or whatever it was that they were telling me to do, still kind of holding off for a couple weeks till that doctor appointment. But then there was one, I think it was like a Saturday, Sunday morning, that I woke up very, very sick and getting sick, and kind of looked at my husband and we both said, no, we're going in. So we went into the ER that morning, and that's when they did a CT scan and found the tumor. And did sort of the initial diagnosis, and then very quickly referred me to Mayo. So within 3 days, I was overseeing an OB specialist surgeon to talk about getting started with surgery and what they were going to do. And that was like on a Wednesday, and then by Monday I was in for surgery. So they really made sure things went pretty quickly for me. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to sort of think through and process that. It was just, we're going to do this and we're going in. And the idea was to remove the tumor and then anything else they could find, because they had diagnosed ovarian cancer, which they did, and it was a wonderful surgery. It was in for far longer than they anticipated. It was about 10 hours of surgery time, but great surgery. Everyone was very pleased with how things went, and then the idea was recover and do chemo. So I started chemo. Well, that would have been in August. So I had surgery the first week of July, recovered for a little bit, and then mid-August started the chemo treatment. And the idea at that time was to do chemo for just a few rounds, just to kind of get anything that was left, maybe microscopically. And we started to do that, kind of went through that whole process of those things, and about 3 rounds in, they did the cancer marker test, which they hadn't done up to that point. And it was about 700 when I went in for surgery, and when they did it 3 rounds in, it was about 7,000, so it had skyrocketed. So more imaging came, and we found that the cancer had moved to my liver. And that's where it was, and so they had to kind of switch up treatment at that point in time and do something that was different, because the course of treatment that they do for ovarian cancer looks different than when it needs to hit the liver. So now we are in round 4 of doing that, and we're on a pause again. So the cancer marker is slowly going back up after taking a big drop or creeping back up again. So they're going to do some more imaging and kind of see, are we just not getting ahead of the game? Is it going somewhere else? Kind of get a sense of what we're dealing with now. So that's our next week's worth of appointments, is doing all of that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your family, who it consists of?
Absolutely. So my husband Mike and I have been together. It'll be 20 years in June. We hit our 20th anniversary. Actually, we've been together longer than that, because we were high school sweethearts, so we knew each other in high school. So it's probably been closer to 25 at this point. And then we have 2 boys, Brian, who's 11, and Eli, who is 6. And both boys were adopted when they were little. Brian was a month old, and Eli was right from the hospital. So they've both been part of our family for their entire lives, but they keep us busy and on our toes, in addition to our 2 crazy dogs. So we're always running. It's never quiet. There's chaos and busyness all the time.
What does it mean to be an INDY warrior? And then as a cancer warrior, what are some things that you would like to tell maybe other people that are battling cancer as well?
I think just to be in a position where I can share with others is an important piece to all of this as an INDY warrior and as a cancer fighter, that I want people to learn what it's like to not only be on the journey, but how they can be of help if they're not on the journey, whether it be a family member or a friend or just anyone. I think there's so much out there. You know, cancer is this big word, and there's so much that is out there, but it really doesn't get down to that nitty-gritty and tell you how to truly walk the walk with someone or walk the journey with someone. And so I think just being in a position where I can share some of those things with others and talk about this is the emotional piece, or this is what people need, or these are questions to ask them or not to ask them. But being really, really intentional, I think, is a big part of that, and just being specific with people. What is it that I can bring? What is it that I can do? Tell me how I can help. Instead of, we'd like to maybe do this, or can we do this? Just not knowing if that's going to be what they need or not. But just to be in a spot where I can share that with others, hopefully that'll help people going through their own journey.